Poppy Playtime Chapter 4 was not as great as we thought it would have been. The gameplay might have not been so good, but the details and animations were great. And in all the locations, there are a lot of things to look at. And since I've already made videos about FNAF and Bendy, I should definitely make one about Poppy Playtime. So I'm going to be looking into Poppy Playtime Chapter 4 and seeing a bunch of random details and basically things I could find. Now, just to know, I'm not going to be saying like obvious things or something everyone should have noticed by now. I'm going to do like things that like haven't really been pointed out or something like that. So let's get into it now. At the start of the game, on the elevator ride, I noticed something. So, you know how Poppy says,
It's not trying to hide what it is. It's hell. And Playtime wanted it to be.
well, I had to replay Chapter 1 to notice this, but right before you enter the hallway, which leads to the room where you get the red hand, there was a door to the left of that says stairway, and under it, someone wrote, "To Hell." This sign also appears later, right before you get chased by Huggy Wuggy. So, maybe this was foreshadowing, but then that would be a pretty long time for this to be foreshadowing. I don't know, I just noticed that. Anyways, after we get off the elevator and start our journey, I didn't find too many interesting things. The first thing I noticed was that there are actually moths in this game on this overhead light I found, which is not an animal I've seen used in any games before, at least any that I've played. So then, entering the toy graveyard, I looked around for things, and I didn't find anything too interesting. However, I did notice that there are like random empty parts in the hills with like no toys covering them. I mean, I felt like the whole mound was like just entirely made of toys, but I guess maybe it's spilled over or something? I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. What do you think? Okay, so kind of unrelated, but I just want to point out how there are like levers and handles in this game that you just can't pull. Because like there are a lot that you can, but then when there's ones that you can't, it just gets confusing. So for quite a while, I actually didn't find anything really interesting. There was this Icky Licky that got stuck in the wall after the Nightmare Critters boss fight, which was really funny looking. The next thing I noticed was that in the area where all the corpses are, when you go back to like the little squeezing area and you go through the left, you can actually see a head fall off a pole. So for actually a while, like 30 minutes, I didn't see anything I wanted to talk about until it got to the part where we meet Doey, which I noticed that like when you see his head in the darkness, he actually has his monster teeth, which I did not notice on my first playthrough. After he tells us to follow him, I decided to look around the darkness where he came from, and there actually wasn't much here. All there really was just some blood on the walls, which I'm guessing is Pianosaurus's. Then we follow Doey and reunite with Kissy and Poppy. Then we make our way into Safe Haven, and this is the part where I notice the most things I want to talk about. There is a lot of stuff in here. In the tents, there is some Playtime merchandise, like this Yarnaby blanket with some renders of Yarnaby on it, which are actually really adorable. Then there's this blanket with poppy flowers on it, and this carpet with a bunch of varying characters. In other tents, there's a blanket with parts from certain characters on it, and a space-themed blanket with Dog Day on it. Honestly, this stuff should be turned into real merchandise. That would be really cool. On the roof, I noticed that there's like a PJ Pugapillar statue or plushie. I don't know what this is, but like for a moment I thought it was the real PJ Pugapillar. Back to the tents, there's this blanket with all the cat characters on it, and on one of the walls there was a drawing of the moon. Also, all over Safe Haven, there are these targets that literally have no purpose at all. At least with us. Like, they're just around here and they don't do anything. Also, I tried shooting characters with the flare gun, and they don't react, except for the smiling critters who just look at you. Then we leave Safe Haven through this tunnel that for some reason our grab pack gets disabled in it. Like, we're not like squeezing through a gap or anything, it just gets disabled for some reason. In a locker, there are pictures of a cat in here, which is a really little cool random detail. It's pretty funny too. In No Man's Land, the smiling critters on the ground are like really blocky, so many aspects of this game still need to be fixed. Also, I know this didn't happen too recently, but Yarnaby's death got changed, so now right as soon as you jump across, like when you're jumping across, it changes to a cutscene, and instead of Yarnaby falling into a seemingly bottomless pit, he falls into a pit of molten steel, confirming that he is not going to return like Huggy Wuggy. And similar to the smiling critters I talked about just a second ago, from up high, Doughy's boss fight area looks really bad. Like, it's really blocky and it just doesn't look good from up here. I feel like this is what it would look like if it was on Nintendo Switch. Now, I couldn't really get good footage of this because it took me a moment to figure out what it was, but like when you're under the doctor's room, there's actually an area where the doctor, but not the doctor, the prototype. The prototype drags like one of his like henchmen, I guess, through the roof, and right before it went back up, I was able to spot his hand. Now, back onto the topic of real animals, there are flies too. I found these ones surrounding this light. Now, for even more animals, there's also these ants on top of these barrels. However, some of them aren't even on the barrels. There's this clapping kissy missy, which if like you get right next to her, she'll just like shove you off to the side. Where you have to grab the explosives, I noticed that the nightmare critters come out of like these holes in the wall, except like they're like covered by like this rock, I guess? I don't know what this is, but they just go into it. And like the Doughy boss fight area from above, the area where like you're going on the zip line is also really bad too when you're swinging across it. When I was going through the Doughy boss fight, I experienced this really weird glitch that I saw outside of the map. When you kill Doughy, I noticed that you can actually walk through his body because it is transparent, apparently. That's all I really wanted to talk about. Yeah, that's basically just stuff I noticed in Public Playtime Chapter 4. Just some things. Okay, listen, I know my videos aren't very long, but sometimes I just have trouble talking like for a long time. I'm trying to make my videos longer. It's not doing very great so far, but I am trying. I hope you guys do enjoy my content though. It's hard to make sometimes. Enough of that. Chapter 5 will be coming next year, and it is going to be the finale, as it seems so far. Can't wait to see what the prototype looks like. I hope the prototype has a good design. Anyways, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!